Ever get that feeling, like the internet's totally in your head? Like 1 minute you're searching for those little cocktail umbrellas, but for your cat. And then suddenly, boom, it's like every ad is all cat parasols. Get yours now.
It is pretty remarkable, isn't it? The way online advertising seems to know exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah.
It all boils down to, well, incredible advancements in things like data analysis and algorithms. Mm-hmm. But it also, like you said, brings up some interesting thoughts about privacy, and even manipulation in this digital age.
It really does. But what we're getting into today, this is like taking that whole what will AI do next thing to a whole other level. We're diving into this thing called Sun Intelligence 3.0, and it's being hyped up as, get this, capable of making billions of totally unique, super targeted ads, and all that in just minutes.
Billions. Okay, now that's just wow. Before we even get into how that's even possible, can we talk about this Srinidhi Ranganathan, the guy behind all this? He really seems to be leaning into this whole human AI title.
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. His article, which by the way, feels kind of like reading a superhero origin story, claims he's not just like building AI, he is human AI. But ego trip aside, it's the whole AI self-replication claim that's got everyone talking. Supposedly, this Sun Intelligence 3.0 thing actually makes copies of itself to handle this insane amount of ad creation.
Self-replication in AI. Now, there's a phrase designed to grab headlines that kind of makes you think of, sci-fi robots going all out of control and multiplying. But before we get carried away with images of like sentient ad bots taking over, we should probably ground ourselves in what's actually doable, right?
So is this whole self-replication thing legit, or is it more like a marketing gimmick? Can AI really just clone itself?
Well, it's not exactly like AI suddenly making copies of itself out of thin air, like some sci-fi movie. Think of it more like, a super advanced form of evolution happening inside the program itself. So imagine the AI starts with like a basic ad script.
Okay, so like a template for those cat cocktail umbrellas we were talking about.
Exactly. Now, it doesn't just stop there. It takes that basic script and starts playing around with it, changing the words, trying different pictures, maybe even throwing in some, cat puns. And all the while, it's looking at tons of data to see what gets different cat owners to click.
So it's like A/B testing, but on a massive scale?
Exactly. It's not creating separate copies of itself, but it's kind of branching out its own internal processes to try out a zillion variations on the same idea, constantly learning, getting better, and tweaking things based on all that data it's gathering.
Okay, that makes way more sense than like an army of rogue AIs pumping out cat ads. But what about this whole hyper-personalization thing? The article makes it sound like this Sun Intelligence 3.0 could make like the perfect ad for every single person on the planet.
Well, Ranganathan certainly doesn't lack ambition, does he? And honestly, that dream of like perfect personalization has been driving innovation in this field for years, and we are definitely moving towards a more personalized internet experience. But to say we can get to that level of detail for billions of people, even with AI, I'd say that's a bit of a stretch.
So you're saying my dream of getting a cat umbrella ad that's like tailor-made for my cat's unique personality, that's still a way off?
Well, I wouldn't rule anything out completely. But think about it. To get truly hyper-personalized ads on that scale, we're talking needing a crazy amount of data on each person, not just your browsing history or what you buy online, but maybe your hobbies, what you hate, your hopes and dreams, even your deepest fears.
Whoa, okay, things just got kind of dark. So AI digging into the depths of our digital souls, all to sell us more stuff.
Not necessarily. And that's where things get ethically tricky. Even if the tech could do all that, the question is, should it? And at what cost to our privacy, our right to choose as consumers? These are the big questions we need to be asking as AI gets more and more powerful in our lives.
It's like that Spider-Man quote, right? With great power comes great responsibility. But in this case, it's like, with great algorithms comes great ethical dilemmas.
Right. And speaking of dilemmas, let's not forget that bold claim in the article, the one about Sun Intelligence 3.0, being able to make anything go viral. Now, that's something I'd take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, because if there was a magic formula for going viral, wouldn't everyone be using it? So what's your take? Seriously, like if you could just decide what goes viral, wouldn't everyone be doing it?
Right. I mean, it's a nice thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being able to predict exactly what'll click with millions of people and, set off that whole chain reaction of everyone sharing and talking about it. And while AI can definitely analyze trends and like optimize for certain things, true virality, that's a whole different ball game. It's got so much to do with the social context, people's emotions in the moment, even just random luck.
So Sun Intelligence 3.0 might be able to make a really, really persuasive cat umbrella ad, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn my cat into the next grumpy cat.
Exactly. And that's important to keep in mind. AI can make content more effective, more targeted, maybe even funnier or more exciting, but it can't control cultural impact. At least not yet, anyway.
Okay, so maybe we're not about to be ruled by super smart ad bots or anything. But even if we don't believe everything Ranganathan's saying, you got to admit, AI is definitely shaking things up in the advertising world. What really gets me thinking is like, what does this mean for the humans involved in all of this? Are we going to see all those advertising creatives replaced by algorithms that can just churn out catchy slogans?
Now that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it goes way beyond just advertising. This whole idea of what happens to human creativity in a world where AI is becoming so powerful, it's a huge debate. Will machines completely take over creative jobs? It's definitely possible, but I think it's more complicated than that.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it this way. AI, it's amazing at handling huge amounts of data, spotting patterns, and figuring out the most efficient way to get results. It can come up with endless variations on an idea, test what works best, and learn from it all way faster than any human ever could. But what about that initial spark, that human ability to tap into emotions, to tell stories that really connect with people on a deeper level? That's where human creativity still has the upper hand.
So it's not about AI versus humans, but more like how they can work together.
Exactly. Imagine a future where AI is like the creative assistant, not the replacement. So the algorithms, they handle all the data and the optimization stuff, which frees up human minds to focus on the bigger picture. The emotional intelligence, the art of storytelling, all those things that make advertising truly powerful.
That's a much brighter outlook than picturing a future where we're all just controlled by ad bots.
Right. And I think it's a future worth working towards.
Well, this whole deep dive has been quite the journey. We've covered self-replicating AI, the future of creativity, even the ethics of all this hyper-personalization. One thing's for sure, AI is only going to get more influential when it comes to advertising. So as we wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you hope our listeners will remember from today?
That's easy. Never forget, you're the one in control. As consumers, we have way more power than we often realize. By understanding how AI is being used in advertising, we can make smarter choices about what we consume and what messages we let influence us. The future of advertising might be closely tied to AI, but it's ultimately up to all of us to shape that future in a way that's responsible and beneficial.